function.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was saying that, any computer programming, okay, would have three parts. Okay, the input part, the process part, and the output part, and that's what you need to think whenever a problem is given to you. Okay. So coming to this program that we have written, a one-line program, let's look at few things here. First thing, in Python, you should always start programming from first position. I cannot give a space here and start P. Okay. Already PyCharm is showing me as red underscore. Okay. Showing me as error. And this
Mm-hmm.
is called indentation error. Now, when you go and run it, okay, you see it's called indentation error. Okay. So
Okay.
it should start from very first line. There are some exceptions we'll do. Maybe after 2, 3 classes, we'll see. Maybe tomorrow itself, we'll see. Okay. What is the exception? Okay. Otherwise, it should be right from first. Now, I can give a space here. This doesn't matter. Okay. This
Mm-hmm.
is also fine. Okay. But in the beginning, very first position you have to start with. Okay. If you give spaces afterwards, it doesn't matter. Okay. The first point you have to remember as your first programmer, first time programmer. Then, what are these? What does this mean? This is called as a function.
Mm-hmm.
Print is called a function. Function means, again, if you have to compare it with English, it's more like a verb which has a predefined meaning. When I say speak, run, jump, okay, there's a predefined meaning, right? I don't have to explain what does speak mean. I don't have to tell you what run means because you already know what it is. Somebody has already trained you on that or told you what it means. Similarly, print is a function, okay, which has a predefined meaning of printing onto the screen. So somebody has already told Python. So we call this as user defined function. Oh, sorry, not user defined. Users are we, okay? It is inbuilt function. Inbuilt function means, which has a inbuilt, the developers of Python have already told, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Python what to do when you see print, okay? So print is inbuilt function which has a predefined. Inbuilt means predefined. And user, we are the users of Python. So we can create our own functions, which we'll see later, much later. But
Mm-hmm.
for now, we'll focus on this inbuilt function print because it has a predefined meaning. Okay. Inbuilt functions, and these inbuilt functions are always followed with opening and closing simple bracket. Okay. So even if I had not known, even if I have not seen this print function before, just because it has this simple bracket open and close, I know that it's a function.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you see some text with bracket open and close, simple bracket open and close, text
Mm-hmm.
immediately followed with bracket, you know that it's a function. Now, whether it is inbuilt function or user-defined functions, we won't be able to know the differentiation until we go deeper into the code. But by look, we know it's a function.
Mm-hmm.
The functions are always followed with this simple bracket open and close, point one. Now, when we talk about functions, functions are supposed to do some function, some work. What work? So print, for example, is used to display content onto the screen. Which content? Content that you pass within the bracket. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we want it to print, it will print here. Now I can give some junk also. So if I give junk, it's going to print junk onto the screen. So simple, simple meaning for print here. Whatever you see, whatever you get within the bracket, you print as it is.
Okay.
Now, there are two types of print again. But before that, what does hash mean? Hash is for comment. So when I write hash and something followed by that, okay,
Mm-hmm.
means you're telling computer, you're telling Python, Python to ignore the content after hash. Okay, so these comments are for us, for human beings. Now, you might write a program today, and after 1 month, you want to go back and see what you have written. You might forget why you have done certain thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we write comment. Comments are not for Python, not for machine. It's for human being. For us, like if we want to come back and see what it is, or it's for colleague. Let's say, you when you write a program, okay, you are not the only one who will be touching or writing that piece of code. You will write, somebody else will come back and edit it, okay, add more code to it. So same code will be touched by multiple people, right? So when I write a code and if you have to work on it, okay, it might be difficult for you to first understand the way I have written it. So these
Mm-hmm.
comments are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, comments are very, very important. Okay, though it is ignored by machine, though it is ignored a program, the moment Python, okay, see, execution of program means running the program, getting the output. So we use the word execution. Execution is running the program, executing the program. Okay, so when you execute the program, okay, your Python will start running from line number 1, then goes to line number 2, then to 3, then to 4, so on. It does in sequential fashion. So
Mm-hmm.
when I say run, I'm executing the program. That's what happens when I say run P1. It's going to run P1 for me, the file P1 for me. Line number 1 is print. So it's going to print whatever you see at line number 1. Great. After doing this, it goes to line number 2, right?
Yeah.
Now, line number 2 has a hash here.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore. So Python will not even see what is inside. It is going to skip it to the next line. Next line
Mm-hmm.
is also comment. Skip it. Okay. Python will not even read. Okay. It will not even check the spelling also. Nothing it will do. Okay. It is 100% purely for human being to read and understand what it means. Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, but very powerful. You have to write comment, especially when it is more complex. Okay, it's even more uh, preferred way of doing program. Your program should have comment so that it's become easier for you yourself in future to edit it or somebody else who wants to work with it.
Okay.
Now, okay, so one thing is when I say print and I said print this thing for me. Okay, so it printed this thing. Now, why is this thing within quotation? Okay, so quotation also has a meaning. Quotation means that without even thinking, do what I'm saying. Okay, so if you give quotation, it is called as text format. Okay, when you give it as a text format, Python will print as it is. Okay, if I'll tell you repeat 5 plus 3, so you will tell me 5 plus 3, you will not tell me 8.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, here, if I say Python print quotation 5 plus 3, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so Python will give me 5 plus 3 as it is. Whatever you give in quotation, as it is printed. Now,
Okay.
if I don't give quotation 5 plus 3, that's when I'm asking Python, evaluate, tell me the answer. What is 5 plus 3? Now,
Okay.
when I say what is 5 plus 3, okay, it will tell me 8. Okay, since
Okay.
this does not have quotation, Python is going to think over it. Now, if you give junk, obviously, when let's say I give the same text here without the quotation,
Uh-huh.
now Python doesn't know what it is. So you see exit code 1. Exit code 1 means you have some error. And you
Okay.
see the error says name error. Name, okay, whatever is not defined. Means I don't know what is it. You have not defined it before.
Mm-hmm.
You have not told me what this, junk character means. And I don't know what it is. This is what we are telling to Python. That I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand this. Okay. So it's going to give you error. And Python errors are very descriptive. Okay. When you look at the errors, of course, you'll get errors. Okay. We get errors. But looking at the errors, we should be able to know what could have gone wrong with our program and where to go and fix it. How to fix it, we have to learn, we have to know. But
Mhm.
where to go and fix it clearly says line number 6 in module. Okay, print this.
Mhm.
See line number 6. So you know, oh, okay, line number 6 has problem. PyCharm has its own feature of, you know, giving you red underline. Red, and whenever you see red underline in PyCharm, that means it's giving you pre-warning. Okay, before you run itself, it's saying you see there is an error here. Fix it. Okay,
Mhm.
but otherwise you can run it and it'll give you, uh, you know, which file. Okay, so p1.py, which line in that file. Okay, which statement and what is the error.
Mhm.
Okay, so error, this is not defined. This is the error, that this is not defined. Okay, so it gives you everything in so much of detail. Okay, it's not defined.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how your program, okay, generally works. Okay, so in print you can give quotation. Quotation means telling to the Python that do as I say, don't even think. Okay, just give me what I'm, you know, whatever I'm saying, you just repeat after that.
Mhm.
When you don't give quotation, okay, you're asking Python to evaluate it for you. Okay, now you can have a combinations of all these. That means, okay, I say print and I say 5 plus 3 equal to 5 plus 3 equal to, and then I go and I say 5 plus 3. Now here, see, I have given both these two types of things that we have discussed so far. I've given
Okay.
things in quotation. So I'm saying print as it is. Okay.
Okay.
Then I'm giving 5 plus 3 without quotation. That means I'm saying add them together. Okay. And when you're giving multiple values, Python should know that they are different, right? So you have to separate them by comma. Okay. So you need to separate these, we call them as parameters. Okay. So your parameters are the values that we give into a file or give to a file, give to a function, not file, give to a function. So print is a function and we are giving. So this has one parameter. This
Mhm.
has one parameter. This has one parameter. This has
Two
two
parameters.
parameters. Yes. How do you know that? Because this comma is separating them. So, you know, one comma means two parameters, obviously. Three comma means four parameters. So
Mhm.
print can take any number of parameters, and if and not only for print, any function. If you are giving multiple parameters, you have to separate them with comma. So
Yes.
comma separates multiple parameters in a function. And the values that we have to give to a function has to be between your brackets. Okay, so within this bracket you have to give the parameter. That's how print knows, okay, this is what I need to work with, this is what I need to work with, this is what I need to work with, these are what I need to work with. Okay,
Mhm.
so it has multiple parameters, and now when I run this program, you will see that 5 plus 3 equal to is printing as it is because we give them in quotation. Comma will add a space from itself. Okay, the space that you see between 8 and comma, sorry, 8 and equal to is because of this comma. So comma will add a space. Okay, so space got added and you have 5 plus 3 which is equal to 8. So 5 plus 3 equal to space 8 is coming because of this part. So
Oh.
print is, I cannot imagine a program without print. Okay, so print is a very basic element, okay, that you will use every time. And this is how it is written. You don't have to write all small here. And since it's a function, bracket open, all the parameters that you need to pass has to be within this bracket. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, as I said, right, you can give any number of parameters. Okay, so I can give something like this. And okay, and maybe here I can say, okay, let me put another quotation, 6 into 4 equal to 6 into 4, right? You can give any number of parameters, doesn't matter. Okay, 5 plus 3 equal to 8 and 6 into 4 equal to 24. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was trying to say something. Okay, so this is it about print, right? You can have any values. Yeah, that's what I remember. Now here, okay, double quote and single quote all works. Okay, it did not be double quote only. You can give single quote also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but whatever you give, same thing you have to end with. So if I start with double quote, I have to end with double quote only.
Yeah.
If I start with single quote, I have to end with single quote only. I cannot start with double quote and end with single quote. Now you have a choice. You are free to use single quote or double quote. Okay, both are equally good. Both have same meaning. But if you are dealing with, if you are starting with double quote, you have to end with double quote. If you start with single quote, you have to end with single quote.
Okay.
Okay, so this is important. Now, so for example, let's say I want to print something like this. I want to print, what's your name? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I want to print something, what's your name? In this case, okay, if I try to use single quote, what
Mm-hmm.
happens? Since I've used single quote here, now this single quote is treating as closing quote. And then Python is assuming that, you have, there's something wrong here. So it'll give you error. Okay.
Yeah.
Because since we started with single quote, it's the immediate next single quote is treating as your closing quote. Okay. So in this case, okay, it's better that we give double quote. Okay. Since we are giving double quote, okay, it will look for the corresponding next double quote for closing quote. So now single quote does not have any meaning, and when you run it, it will print what's your name here.
Mm-hmm.
Because since we start with double quote, it will look for next double quote only for closing, and your single quote is safe. Okay, no
Yeah.
problem. And similarly, okay, if you have to print something like, he asked, how are you? Okay, now this we will probably give in quotation, right?
Yeah.
So now again, if I have to print something like this, I need to use single quote, right? Because if I use double quote, it will treat this quote as closing quote, and this will show as something outside quote, and you get error. So since I'm using single quote here, double quote is safely printed as it is.
Oh, since you used comma, you can't use double quote.
A comma is within the quotation, so it is not parameter separator now.
Yeah.
Okay. No, why I'm using a single quote is because I have a double quote here to print.
Okay. That makes
Right?
sense.
I have double quote here to print it. So
Mm-hmm.
since I have double quote here to print it, so I have to use, something different, single quote. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this is small things. Okay, that's so what's so big deal about both having same meaning? So thing is, you might have to use double quote here inside. So so that's where you can use it. Now you can have a sentence, right, which can use both. So now let's say I want to print, he asked, and instead of how are you, what's your name?
Okay.
Now, in this case, I can't use single or double, because if I try to use single, then this quote will be treated as closing quote. If I try to use double, this will be treated as closing quote, right? So in this case, Python gives you option to use triple quote also. You can
Oh,
use triple quote, single triple quote, or double triple quote. They are different, they mean different, and we'll discuss more about triple quotes when we do strings. We'll have, maybe our third, fourth class, we'll spend time on strings only. So we'll see what it means. Okay, but for now, you can use triple quote here, and within triple quote, okay, you can give this. Okay, so now what happened when you're giving triple quote, whether single or double doesn't matter. Okay, so it will look for corresponding three quotes, right? Triple quote for closing. So though this is single quote here, single quote, but since this is single, this is not treated as closing. Now here you see single triple. So it knows, okay, this is the closing quote and you get output safely.
Okay.
But there is one more option. Okay. So now we are moving to next topic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have something called as escape character. Escape character or escape sequence, they call it. This
Mm-hmm.
is your backward slash. Okay. Now, see, this is escape sequence and has meaning which I'll show you. But how do
Mm-hmm.
I remember? Okay, I'll tell you how I remember. I remember backslash or escape character as something that can give you power, something that can take away power from you. Okay, so remember that way. It's like you can make something super. You can give superpower or you can take away power. Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
one thing you have to remember is backslash works for only one character, which comes immediately after it. So you
Mm-hmm.
can talk about, you know, backslash. You can talk about backslash the, you know, backslash and backslash. So many things. But whatever it does, which we will see what whatever it does only for the immediately single character. So if
Oh,
I write here, let's say new, okay, this backslash will work only on N, not EW.
okay.
Okay, so when it gives or takes away power, right? It gives power to the next character only. It takes away power from the next character only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see this. Now, same thing, okay, same thing. If I try to do using skip character, okay, so what I do, I don't want to use triple quote for whatever reason. I don't want to use triple quote. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what I'll do, I will use double quote and I will paste the content here. So I gave double quote and I want to print entire thing using double quote. That's my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting here. He asked, comma, so far everything is good. Problem comes here. Because this quotation is close, I mean, is a double quotation, and since we started with opened with single quotation, it is mapped as a closing quotation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now, since see here, this one, if you see, or for that matter, let's say here. Now, this single quotation has a power to close the quotation, right? But it has not got the power because we're using double quote.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one has no power, no problem. Single quotation, this one has no problem because we are using double quotation for opening the text. But this one has problem because this is creating problem because this is matching to this. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if I have to remove it, if I have to remove the superpower, what I'll do, I'll put backward slash. The escape character, backward slash. When I say backward slash, okay, the power which double quotation was getting, because since we started the text with quotation, double quotation, this quotation was getting power to close the text. I
Mm-hmm.
took away the power.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this quotation will behave like a normal character, not as a closing quotation.
Okay.
Okay. I'm taking away the power.
Mm-hmm.
Now this has anyway no power, correct? So I don't have to give backward slash. If I give also no problem. Okay. Okay. But still I'm not giving. Okay. Not required to give here. Now this also has to be printed. Now what's happening right now? Okay. This is being treated as closing quotation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this quotation is giving you error. But we need to print this as it. This is not closing quotation. This is what we need to be printed. So I will put backward slash here also. When I put backward
Okay.
slash here, now this backward slash has lost power of closing the quote. Okay. So now what is left is this quote, and this quote, obviously we want it to close the quotation. So you can use escape character to, here I'm taking away the power,
Mm-hmm.
So now you get exactly the same text. So if you don't want to get into these things, you say, okay, let me use triple quote and I'm fine with it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you say, no, let me deal with it. Okay. What if the text has all four kinds of quotations, single, double, single, triple, all the four? Then
Mm-hmm.
that's when your escape sequence will come into picture. Okay. And remember, escape sequence works only on one character. Okay. We have more features of escape sequence. We will see, we'll see as we go along. But
Okay.
it works always, in every case, it works only with one character.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how you can print your text also.
Okay.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, I know we'll introduce to one more concept. One more
Okay.
concept, and then we will end. This concept is called as variable. Okay. Now you have variables and constants, right? Constants are those whose value doesn't change, right? Now, if I
Mm-hmm.
say pi is 3.4, right? Value doesn't change. I say acceleration due to gravity, small g, 9.8 meter per second. That does not change. Those are called constant. Those values will not change.
Mm-hmm.
But our class timing can change. It's
Yeah.
not constant. Let's say today we meet at 7:30, tomorrow we meet at 7. If we decide to meet at 7, it can change. So if you have to store values like this, which can change, obviously, right? If I'm developing a application for ticket booking, right? My customers will change. Okay. Sometimes somebody would want to book on first, somebody would want to book on third. I cannot save the travel date as fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it depends upon customer. Customer will give the date and the value that I need to store while, let's say, searching for the flight or printing the boarding pass or printing the ticket. I need to use the value which customer gave me. And
Mm-hmm.
these values, of course, will change, right? These are called variables. Variables stores values, and those values are subject to change. So I can use a text just like I used print. I can use a text. I can say value 1 equal to 5. Okay. Value 1 equal to 5. Okay. So I'm defining, okay, now there's a similarity and difference between function and variable. Now, if you see here, okay, I can put a bracket here. If I had put a bracket here, then it would have become a function. If I had used a bracket here, this would have been a function. But if I remove a bracket, now it's not a function. Now,
Yeah.
and since I'm assigning value 5 to it, it becomes a variable which has value 5 now.
Mm-hmm.
I can go and in line number 24, I can save 10. Now, when I say line number 24 here, value 1 equal to 10, I'm changing the value 1 to 10. Absolutely no problem because it's a variable. So it will change its value,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yes.
this is called as variables, and values can change depending upon the value that we provide. So if I print here value 1,
Mm-hmm.
it will print 5 to me. If I print value 1 in line number 25, it should print 10 to me, right?
Yes.
Because the value here is 10. It's called variable. That's why its value can change. Now
Mm-hmm.
here you see when we use this chunk here, okay?
Mm.
So this is print is thinking this as a variable.
Yeah.
And it told us that variable is not defined. There's no value to this. Now I can set a value here to this as, let's say, 100. And now when you print this, okay, you can see this, it will print as 100.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
This is how you can define a variable, you can give it a value, okay, and it will work fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll stop here for today
Okay.
and we'll continue